All right, the day trading watch list for Wednesday. Let's glance at the SPY real quick here. You didn't have massive volume today, but you did have kind of an interesting reversal. All right, the SPY gapped down a little, was rallying nicely, and you can see what happened here. One quick point, this is just an errant tick. If you had E-signal today, pretty sure it wasn't just me. I was getting these crazy errant ticks that like late prints or something that was kind of messing up the chart, but ignore that spike. So you can see a pretty good reversal. Retested the lows of the day, little bounce, and then every little bounce was thwarted. So the intraday kind of shows you a little more weakness than you'd see just looking at the chart. Going to 60 minutes though, you do have some support right below or right around 194. You actually have some right about where it closed, and then a little more right there. So I mean, I don't look for the market to tank tomorrow, but I definitely want to put on a short hat, more so than we've had in the recent past. I'm going to be wearing a possible long and possible short hat, and probably look to short more intraday. I haven't been doing much of that because the market hasn't been that friendly for shorts. All right, so the watch list: Dunkin' brands, Dunkin' Donuts. This thing actually had relative strength today, but it made a big move to get up to recent highs here at 45. When I say 45, I just mean the area of 45. It's a little bit over that, but it had trouble with it here, back here, spent some time above it here before coming back down. So a big move today. 60-minute candles, you can kind of see the big move. And so if there's market weakness, I'm looking for a short in this one because I think it came too far too fast. On the other side of the coin, Dreamworks DWA is down 3 days in a row. Took out recent support. We're looking for a bounce around 23 today. Ended up with basically a flat trade in it because it didn't bounce there. But you also have 22 back here. Used to be resistance. Okay, so with this many days down in a row and former resistance there, I would be looking for a potential bounce if this gets down to 22. So I like having stocks like this in my notes for potential places for a bounce. Carmax is kind of interesting here for a potential bounce. It hasn't broken a previous day's high since the gap up. It had a pretty good earnings report, and you did have, let's try that again, you had recent resistance. When I say recent, it wasn't that recent, but in early March, you had resistance right about here. It could get a bounce off this area. Again, looking for a trade. So Carmax is on watch. CBI feels way overdone to me. Panning out here. 65 was resistance back here, and again a little bit right here. And it's come a long way to get there, and it did a nice bounce as it flushed through 65 today and came back up almost $2 from there before closing at 65.5. So this one is just on bounce watch. It should give a good trade or two tomorrow. XGTI, now this is a lower price stock, gapped up and ended up closing at its lows. If this can sell off early tomorrow morning, I'm going to be looking for a reversal. They had almost a $500 million, I think, contract with the Army, which is pretty impressive for a stock that was under $2. And yeah, they sold it. They sold it back here on this gap out. You can see back here ran all the way to 5. So I like this one as a bounce play. Okay, especially if we get an early flush in the morning, I'll be looking for an intraday reversal. CCL is interesting to me. Now this one held 38 here, held 38 here, had earnings. You could almost argue that this had relative strength. Yeah, and looking at that, it doesn't make me sound very smart, but it held up fairly well after the initial gap down, and then it sold off to 38.20. It never did really take that out. Okay, so it did bounce and then come back to that, but that's why I say you could almost argue that this had relative strength because the SPY was just so weak all afternoon. So while the SPY was just getting killed here, CCL wasn't quite getting killed as bad. And then back to the daily. I'm going to be looking for, if there's any market strength, a potential bounce off the $38 area. Now, having said, earnings are behind you now. So having said that, if there's market weakness and this goes through 38, bounces, and they can't hold above 38, I'll be looking for a short. Okay, you do have the 200-day right below it as well, though. So I'm kind of thinking long on CCL, especially if it gets down below 38, maybe hits the 200-day, looking for a reversal there. Remember, I'm just a day trader, so these are all just ideas, and I won't take any of them unless I get a proper intraday setup. NTAP, this one had nice volume today, and look at it on an intraday basis. One of our members in the chat room, Joseph N., posted NTAP, big volume spike here and a big push. And so this threw it on my radar, and I went ahead and called a long in it after that spike. Right there at 36.08. Okay, oftentimes when you look at the volume on that. These are 2-minute candles, massive volume. That first pullback to the 8-period moving average using 2-minute candles, I like to bid there. Okay, and I got filled at 36.08. That's what I was bidding, and the lowest it went was 36.05. So I literally got filled 3 cents from the low of that pullback. And then look what happens. Went all the way almost to 37. Now, switching to 5-minute candles, it ended up coming all the way back down, but I was a seller all the way up here. So, sold my last bit, I believe, over 36.80. So that was a great alert by Joseph N. And I'm kind of attributing this grinding lower the rest of the day to that, again, that very big weakness in the SPY. So NTAP, while you look at the daily, say, well, it didn't close very well. Well, that could have just been the SPY. So I actually like this for a potential long with the proper setup and some market strength on what is tomorrow? Is tomorrow Thursday? I've lost track of this week already. No, tomorrow's Wednesday. See, I told you I lost track. And a couple other things of interest in my notes. Dick's Sporting Goods, DKS. Great. This thing is held ever since this gap up. This thing is held 44. Let's go to 30-minute candles. And look at that. It gapped up here and held it here, 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 here. So this is coming back down to 44 again. It's pretty interesting to me, especially if the market, shows some strength in the morning. If this thing can touch 44 or that area, I would be looking for a reversal long. Along those lines, too, GNC is kind of interesting for a potential bounce at 34. GNC, not a very pretty daily chart. It's General Nutrition Center, but it's in a range ever since this gap down, and so I like it around 34. That's the bottom of the range. So there's another one. Again, all of these you can flip in your brain and say, well, if the market's weak, these could also be good shorts. If they don't bounce at these areas, sometimes you get a flush and then a retest and watch for it to roll over. So you can having stuff like this on the watch list can give you more than just the long opportunity, the bounce opportunity that you're looking for. It can also not do what you're looking for, and then you can flip it around in your brain and take the opposite. Take the trade the opposite way. And let me see if I can figure out why CRE is in my notes. All right, CRE. Yeah, I mean, these are 60-minute candles, and it's bounced off 47 nicely, and it's had a few big runs like here. Well, let's draw it. Few big runs lately, like here, here, and this was actually a pretty good move too. So we're coming back down, and with some market weakness, I like CRE off of 47. So keep that one in your notes as well. And as always, guys, we'll find other stuff to trade as the day unfolds too. But that's what I'm starting with, and we will talk to you tomorrow night.